Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Ni Anis Hafiza binti Ni Muhammad Asri. I am from ED2415C and my partner is Nur Sufiatul Husna binti Muhammad Zaki. We are here today to present about our research entitled The Discourse of Several Chinese Dialects Used in Social Media in Different Chinese Communities to Disseminate Health Information During the COVID-19 Pandemic. I will touch on the introduction, the literature review, and methodology. Meanwhile, my partner will talk about the findings, the discussion of the findings, and lastly, the conclusion. Right, should we start? Over the past decades, the world has come across and has been affected with many types of diseases. According to World Health Organization, coronavirus has been identified on the 11th of February 2020 and was called COVID-19. As we all know, people are mostly linked to each other through their phones. So one of the issues that we discovered was the miscommunication in spreading the information about the COVID-19. As I have mentioned, people are linked to each other through their phones, right? So of course, the information about the COVID-19 are being spread through their phones. Based on our observation, however, there are some parts of the Chinese community, such as Hokkien, Cantonese, Hakka, and etc., that face some difficulties regarding the information about the COVID-19. Therefore, this study examines the role of several discourses of the Chinese dialects, which is the major factor, and social media, which is the minor factor, in spreading health information about the COVID-19. The first research objective is to compare on how the discourse of several Chinese dialects are used in social media in different Chinese communities to disseminate health information during the COVID-19 pandemic. The second research objective is to examine factors that influence how the discourse of several Chinese dialects are used in social media in different Chinese communities to disseminate health information during the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the research questions of this study is how does the discourse of several Chinese dialects are used in social media in different Chinese communities to disseminate health information during the COVID-19 pandemic. And another research question is what are the factors that influence how the discourse of several Chinese dialects are used in social media in different Chinese communities to disseminate health information during the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the literature review of this study is the discourse of the several Chinese dialects. The first one, according to Wodak and Mayer, 2009, the definition of discourse can be very expansive, including a policy, a political strategy, text, talk, and so forth. So the discourse is defined as the use of spoken and written language and regards discourse as a form of social practice. This is according to Fairclough 1995, page 135, Fairclough and Wodak 1997, page 258. So dialect is a variety of particular language which is spoken by a group of speakers that is signaled by systematic markers such as syntactical, phonological, and grammatical markers. According to Wardo, 1986, variety is defined in terms of a specific set of linguistic items or human speech such as sounds, words, grammatical features, which we can uniquely associate with the external factors such as the geographical area or social group. According to Jiang, Qiu Zhang H. Sun M. 2019, Chinese belongs to Sino-Tibetan language family, which is generally divided into 13 dialects, and each language can be divided into many subdialects. Okay, and the 13 first level Chinese dialects are Mandarin, Jin dialect, Cantonese, Xiang dialect, Wu dialect, Hui dialect, Gan dialect, Hakka dialect, Northern Fujian dialect, Southern Fujian dialect, Eastern Fujian dialect, Central Fujian dialect, and Puxian dialect. Okay, the existence of these dialects expands the variety of languages and becomes an important part of language diversification. Okay, standard language, on the other hand, is the official language stipulated by laws or relevant policies of various governments and have prescribed pronunciation standards and diction habits and are promoted by the government. The second literature review of this study is social media and information dissemination. Okay, social media, including instant messaging tools, which is IM, social networking site, which is SNS, and microblogs have become a major part for the Chinese people daily life. Okay, especially with the wide use of mobile devices in the recent years. These social media play significant roles in interpersonal communication and information dissemination. The first one, iMessage tools offer real-time text transmission over the internet, while SNS such as Facebook and microblogs such as Twitter and Sina Weibo are platforms with dynamic multimodal features by which users can post, share with other users, according to Lian, CH, and Kao, Y 2014. Okay, so social media have significantly transformed the pattern of Chinese people's online use, particularly the structure of online information dissemination and peer-to-peer influence. Second one particular manifestation of the shifts of the pattern of information dissemination due to social media is in the healthcare domain, according to Scanfold, D. Larson, EL 2010. Okay, this is the literature review that we found. And the third one, as Chinese people are paying increasing attention to wellness in general and health information in particular, social media such as SNS have been increasingly used in the communication and dissemination of health information and are arguably reshaping health care, according to Han Ji, Wang W 2015. Okay, so according to them, social media have changed the way how people gain and share health information, for which they traditionally rely on central mass media. And last but not least, we have found that WeChat was open to the public in January 2011, and by the end of 2013 had attracted around 355 million monthly active users and was available to use in over 200 countries, supporting 18 different languages, such as this is according to Tencent fourth quarter and annual results announcement 2013. According to them, WeChat provides a free channel for its users to send and receive messages between different mobile platforms. It provides users a creative method to communicate and interact with friends through text messaging, hold-to-talk voice messaging, one-to-many messaging, photo or video sharing, location sharing, and contact information exchange. The third literature review of our study is ways health information is disseminated in different countries when pandemic occurs. The first one, according to Brooks and Elliott 2020, the 2014 and 2016 West African Ebola outbreak was the most pervasive in the history, reaching pandemic proportions. The outbreak was marked with 11,325 fatalities to 28,652 reported cases and uncontrolled spread. Okay, so as fear drives epidemics evidenced by the Ebola spread in the West Africa, it is essential to understand public opinion to identify health information needs. When these needs are recognized, tailored literacy, appropriate health information can be disseminated to diminish widespread fear. Social media can support dissemination efforts. It allows tremendous opportunities to provide literacy appropriate health information through mass dissemination, evidenced by health information through regularly through organization including the CDC, World Health Organization, and local health departments. So social networking sites like Twitter encourages users to provide and share information. The analysis of social media data allows for an assessment of the public's knowledge, like personal experience and health information needs. Second, according to Jalante et al. 2020, in Indonesia, initiatives to share information and educate the public against COVID-19 were carried out by journalists and the media industry. The objective of such a media movement is to spread a variety of educational content on a massive scale in an effort to combat the spread of the coronavirus in Indonesia. This initiative was attended by more than 50 national and regional media from various platforms, namely television, radio, printed media, cyber media, and social media in Indonesia. This initiative arose spontaneously from the media and was independent, without affiliation, and funded by any party. That way, journalistic work can still run as it should by continuing to uphold the principle of independence. Last but not least, according to a recent article, which is Melanie Lefkowitz 2020, United States of America, as the COVID-19 pandemic unfolded, Herschel and his business partner developed OpenDemic, an app allowing users to anonymously share their location and COVID-19 status to receive alerts about other nearby cases, both potential and verified. So according to this article by Melanie Lefkowitz 2020, to inspire members of the public to share their data, the app offers information about how many COVID-19 cases are nearby, so to better inform their own decisions about social distancing. The app aims to help solve the issue of the lack of actual data on who has symptoms, the lack of test kits, the needs to rely on self-reporting, and to have a database that can be open to public health authorities so they can use that additional data to make decisions about the right interventions. The previous studies, Quan Hongqiang, Hao Yuanzhang, and Mason 2019 conducted an analysis on diversification and unification thoughts on the development of dialects. In the study, they have found that language is the product of human communication, while dialect is a regional communication career reflecting the characteristic of the population. They also found that dialects provide users with communication tools with the characteristics of social identity. Okay, also create barriers for the communication between different dialect users, and has um, the function of identification, because in China, many people still speak dialects as their first language, despite nationwide efforts to instill Mandarin in many parts of China, especially busy Southeast Asia and the coast. Dialects remain as the language of the streets and factories, and in some places, the language of trade in East Asia. Second one, Chung and Bauer 2002 conducted a study on written Cantonese. They argue that the Cantonese language is not the standard Chinese lexicon cloaked in Cantonese phonology, because the Mandarin speaker who does not know Cantonese may find a text of Cantonese almost unintelligible, because the Chinese writing system is unique among the world's orthographies, and the research on the processing of text written in Chinese characters is still in its infancy. As such, the question of their capacities to cross linguistic boundaries, in contrast to these capacities, lack of rather among alphabetic systems, needs to be considered case by case. Okay, the third one, another study was conducted by Wang 2015 and 2016 on mass media and language spread, focused on Mua and Batu Pahat. In his study, the researcher found out that the extent of utilization of Mandarin varies across different states in Malaysia. This is because Mandarin is more extensively used by the Chinese in the state of Johor than those in Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Klang, and Perak. This shows that dialects and multiple languages can be found within the community, even though Mandarin is used as lingua franca by the community members. Compared to the previous studies mentioned, this research aims to show how the usage of certain dialects is important in order to disseminate the correct information, which is useful to curb the COVID-19 pandemic. Alright, as for the methodology, the design of our study is qualitative research. Meanwhile, the subject of our study is the Chinese communities in different countries who are randomly chosen on various social platforms. Meanwhile, the method that we use is document analysis, which is the documents that are interpreted by the researcher to make a meaning around the topic according to Bowen 2009. And the data collected is from the social media platforms such as WeChat, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And last but not least, once the data is collected, it is then classified, then is being analyzed according to the discourse of Chinese dialects, which could not be found in this report.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I'm Nur Sofia Tulisna binti Muhammad Zaki and I'm from ED2415C. There are three sections of my delivery, which is the findings, discussion, and conclusion. So first of all, I'm going to explain briefly on the findings and then followed by the discussion so that it will be much more comprehensible for the viewers, and then for the conclusion, I will recap on what can we actually gather, understand, and be aware of from this research. So for the findings, we have collected 22 findings from Chinese communities in China, Malaysia, and Singapore on the discourse of several Chinese dialects used in social media to disseminate health information during COVID-19 pandemic. There are 7 findings from China, 1 finding from Malaysia, and 15 findings from Singapore. All of the data derived from different platforms of social media were analyzed roughly. Based on the data found, the discourse of several Chinese dialects used in social media to disseminate health information during COVID-19 pandemic are the Regional languages, Wuhan dialect, Penang Hokkien, Singaporean Teochew, Singaporean Cantonese, Singaporean Hainanese, and Singaporean Hakka. Hence, I'm going to explain on some findings under each section, and not all 22 findings are included since some of them are similar in terms of the discourse of the dialects. Let's move on to the findings. For the first finding, it is on the regional languages used in social media, and the social media is WeChat. So for figure 1, you can see that it is an educational video spoken in Retaun. So it shows a video presented by Tudan Nema, a man in his 40s. The video begins with him giving greetings in Mandarin and Amdo Tibetan, the two dominant languages in the region. He then goes on to explain the three main methods for preventing the spread of the virus, such as wear face masks, wash hands, and avoid crowds. He then discusses two situations where one might contract the virus, such as when touching shoes or elevator buttons. For figure 2, you can see that it is an educational video spoken in Mina. Mina is one of the regional languages as well. So the video shows that it is a translation made by Yeshi Wangdo, a 23-year-old medical student. In the video, he briefly presents the disease symptoms, such as fever, coughing, difficulty in breathing, and fatigue. He then introduces ways to avoid contracting the disease, presented as three don'ts, such as avoid elevators, avoid gatherings, and avoid meetings, and three do's, which is wash hands, let air circulate, and disinfect often. Finally, he presents three things to avoid in order to prevent the disease from spreading, such as don't believe rumors, don't start rumors, and don't spread rumors. The second language that falls in the category of regional languages is the Shili Township. So, figure 3 shows an audio recording in the regional variety of Shili Township. And this audio was presented by Danfo, a 27-year-old monk. In his presentation, Danfo describes the virus as a new type of lung disease and talks about its possible origins. He provides statistics on how many people have been infected and have died so far, and also discusses a case of the virus in the vicinity of his hometown. Finally, he presents the symptoms of the disease, introduces the 14-day latency period, and discusses the benefits of addressing the problem with both signs and measures. For figure 4, it is an audio recording in the language Cross-Gyap. So this audio was voiced by Serdan, who is a 42-year-old Khenpo, a highly educated Buddhist monk. He talks about the sources, symptoms, transmission, and prevention of the virus, and describes how he learned this information from other Khenpo in Seda Monastery. He also talks about how to dispose of mass correctly, discusses how drinking and smoking together can help spread the infection, and suggests that people should avoid visiting friends and relatives. Finally, he talks about the importance of chanting mantras to ward off the disease. The second discourse of several Chinese dialects used in social media is the Wuhan dialect, which is also known as Hubei, and it is used in WeChat. So for figure 5, you can see the guidebook of Wuhan dialect for medical assistance teams, audio materials of Wuhan dialect, and the handbook of doctor-patient communication. So from figure 5, we have to move on to figure 6, which is the audio materials of Wuhan dialect, because the languages from figure 5 is actually being transferred in the form of audio materials of Wuhan dialect in figure 6. This is because one of the difficulties in mobilizing trans-provincial resources is the language barrier between doctors and patients in clinical communication. To solve the urgent needs of language communication between doctors from other parts of China and local patients, figure 5 shows the medical assistance team of Kilu Hospital of Shandong University who compiled the guidebook of Wuhan dialect for medical assistance teams, audio materials of Wuhan dialect for medical assistance teams, and the handbook of doctor-patient communication. Meanwhile, Figure 6 shows the audio materials of Wuhan dialect that was shared within 48 hours after the team arrived in Wuhan to help spread the information to the Wuhan community regarding the COVID-19 issue. Another information in Wuhan dialect is shown in Figure 7. So Figure 7 shows a bilingual audio brochure in Putonghua and Hubei Mandarin. Lydia 2020 mentioned that Putonghua is the standard variety of Chinese Mandarin, but the majority of Mandarin speakers speak non-standard varieties for daily communication. They and ethnic groups whose mother tongue is not Mandarin have to learn to speak Putonghua as a lingua franca. Therefore, in Figure 7, a bilingual audio brochure in Putonghua and Hubei Mandarin was produced for medical staff and volunteers recruited to answer emergency calls and inquiries. The brochure provides model conversation between doctors and patients in both varieties. The third discourse of the several Chinese dialects used in social media is the Penang Hokkien dialect, which is used in YouTube. And according to the Star 2020, a Penang girl had taken a light-hearted approach to explain the stay-at-home directive from the Movement Control Order, or MCO, in Penang Hokkien. You can see this from Figure 8. So it shows a video entitled Stay at Home, Lockdown Penang Hokkien Explanation. So in Figure 8, in her 5-minute video, YouTuber Jing Beh appealed to senior citizens to not venture outdoors. She said some senior citizens still did not seem to understand the directive and were hanging out and eating at hawker places, despite being told they could only order takeaways. Based on the video, we can see how YouTuber Jing Beh shared some advice to the Malaysia community in Penang regarding the COVID-19 issue and why it is important to stay at home during the pandemic. The commenters have admitted that it helped their parents understand more about the pandemic situation since her video is spoken in the Penang Hokkien dialect. The fourth discourse of the several Chinese dialects used in social media is the Singaporean Hokkien dialect. This dialect is used in YouTube and Instagram. So from Figure 9, you can see a YouTube video entitled In Singaporean Hokkien, COVID-19 and Precautions That You Can Take. So Figure 9 shows a video in Singapore Hokkien dialect that highlights the precautions that they can take to protect themselves from contracting COVID-19. There is also a link given in the description, which is on the English translation of the video. And for the Figure 10, you can see a video which is also in Hokkien dialect. So in Figure 10, the Singaporean production company known for its YouTube channel, Ryan Sylvia, has created an Instagram video compilation for locals. The second video of the compilation shows a resident encouraging her fellow peers to stay home in Hokkien dialect. The fifth discourse of the several Chinese dialects used in social media is the Singaporean Teochew dialect. This dialect is used in YouTube and Instagram. From Figure 13, you can see an Instagram video of Kim She is the Singaporean television, who is not only seen on Instagram but also educating the elderly in Teochew dialect. She advised them to go out alone if necessary and lists the 4 supermarkets that have imposed restrictions based on shoppers' IC numbers. Another one can be seen from Figure 15. There is a YouTube video entitled Teochew COVID-19 Message by Bae Yam Keng. So Figure 15 shows a video from a member of Parliament Minister who is Bae Yam Keng, and he is someone who pitched in to reach out to citizens using Teochew regarding the COVID-19 issue and situation. The sixth discourse of the several Chinese dialects used in social media like YouTube and Instagram is the Singaporean Cantonese. From Figure 16, you can see a YouTube video entitled In Singaporean Cantonese, COVID-19 and Precautions That You Can Take. The video in Figure 16 shows examples of precautions to take during the COVID-19 that was spoken in Singapore Cantonese that will help the people who use the language to understand more about the pandemic situation. Both the English translation and the Singapore Cantonese dialect were also provided. Another example can be seen from an Instagram video in figure 17. In figure 17, the Singaporean production company known for its YouTube channel, Ryan Sylvia, has created an Instagram video compilation for locals. The first video of the compilation shows a resident encouraging her fellow peers to stay home in Cantonese dialect. The seventh discourse of the several Chinese dialects used in social media like YouTube and Instagram is the Singaporean Hainanese. So from figure 18, you can see a YouTube video entitled In Singaporean Hainanese, COVID-19 and Precautions That You Can Take. According to the video shown in figure 18, there are many Hainanese speaking seniors in Singapore who do not have a strong command of English or Mandarin. As such, this video in Singapore Hainanese highlights the precautions that they can take to protect themselves from contracting the COVID-19. Another example can be seen from an Instagram video. So in figure 19, the Singaporean production company, known for its YouTube channel, Ryan Sylvia, has created an Instagram video compilation for locals. The sixth video of the compilation shows a resident encouraging her fellow peers to stay home in Hainanese dialect. The last discourse of the several Chinese dialects used in social media like YouTube is the Singaporean Hakka. So from figure 20, you can see a YouTube video entitled In Singaporean Hakka, COVID-19 and Precautions That You Can Take. So figure 20 shows a video in Singapore Hakka which highlights the precautions that they can take to protect themselves from contracting the COVID-19, which is the Wuhan coronavirus. There are many Hakka-speaking seniors in Singapore who do not have a strong command of English or Mandarin. Therefore, the video can help to let the Singapore Hakka speakers to understand more about the COVID-19 situation. Based on the data collected, we analyze and then compare the findings to the previous research. Therefore, this discussion will provide current perspectives on the discourse of several Chinese dialects used in social media in different Chinese communities to disseminate health information during COVID-19 pandemic. There are two research objectives that centers around for this discussion section, which are to compare on how the discourse of several Chinese dialects are used in social media in different Chinese communities to disseminate health information during COVID-19 pandemic, and to examine factors that influence how the discourse of several Chinese dialects are used in social media in different Chinese communities to disseminate health information during COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm going to explain further on the first research objective. In China, Mandarin Chinese or Putonghua is a national language or national lingua. However, it is not yet widely spoken in many dialect areas of China. For example, for the Tibetan community in the mountainous Tibetan regions of western Sichuan province in China, the stress of the epidemic and quarantine has caused difficulty of getting information in their own languages. Therefore, health information has been made available in four Regialroing languages spoken by Tibetans in the region, which is Retau, Minyak, Shili Regialrong, and Krosiaps. These languages are posted on social medias in video and audio forms, since none of these languages are currently written. Another point is that one of the difficulties to help Hubei, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak, lies on mobilizing trans-provincial measures or resources between doctors and patients in clinical communication. This is because to unravel the urgent needs of language communication between doctors from other parts of China and local patients, the medical assistance team of Kilu Hospital of Shandong University compiled the Guidebook of Wuhan Dialect for medical assistance teams, audio materials of Wuhan Dialect for medical assistance teams, and Handbook of Doctor-Patient Communication within 48 hours after the team arrived in Wuhan. The total clicks of the handbook on audio recording of Wuhan materials have been around 340,000, and for the online version, more than 100,000. How about the circumstances in Malaysia? How does it handle? In Malaysia, YouTuber Jing Jing Beth, who is also a Penang girl, took a light-hearted approach by making a 5-minute video. In her video, she explained the stay-at-home directive from the Movement Control Order in Penang Hokkien. In terms of Penang Hokkien dialect, it differs from other varieties of Hokkien in terms of tone, rhymes, and word choices. This is because Penang Hokkien is largely a spoken language, rarely written in Chinese characters, and there is no official standard romanization. Today, most of the Penang Hokkien speakers are not literate Hokkien, but instead read and write in standard Mandarin Chinese, English, or Malay. Today, the position of Penang Hokkien is being threatened by the homogeneity brought on by Mandarin. Many young local Chinese grew up unable to speak Penang Hokkien, buying into the idea that as Chinese, they should speak Mandarin. In so doing, they embrace the language of the authorities and the bureaucrats, which is a language of similar function as English, and discard the language of their forefathers. According to Lin, Carmen W., Lindsay K., 2018, Hokkien is an endangered minority language in Malaysia since more people tend to speak Hokkien to their peers or to the older generation. It is spoken mostly at home, and Hokkien Chinese are speaking Hokkien less because Hokkien has no international value, learning other prestigious languages are encouraged more, and there are no other speakers, for example, from a person who migrated to another country. Moreover, in Singapore, the discourse of Chinese dialects used in social media to disseminate health information during COVID-19 pandemic are Singaporean Hokkien, Singaporean Teochew, Singaporean Cantonese, Singaporean Hainanese, and Singaporean Hakka. This is due to the fact that there are many dialect-speaking seniors in Singapore who do not have a strong command of English or Mandarin. As such, there are videos that highlight the precautions that they can take to protect themselves from contracting COVID-19. In comparison to the Chinese dialects mentioned above, or mentioned in the slides, according to Bandusena E 2020, through a stay-at-home campaign in Sabah, local communities collaborate in translating COVID-19 awareness campaigns into various native dialects and sign language. The mission was to translate these campaigns into as many native dialects in Sabah as many as possible, including sign language, through writing formats that are easily accessible through social media or chat apps such as Telegram and WhatsApp. This is crucial as communication is not transparent to these communities at risk. The second research objective is to examine factors that influence how the discourse of several Chinese dialects are used in social media in different Chinese communities to disseminate health information during COVID-19 pandemic. First of all, there are many people who do not speak the dominant language where they live, people with no or low literacy and do not have the access to different forms of communication. This will cause problems to arise as they are unable to access to health information. Not only that, within communities that speak minority languages, barriers to understand still exist. As a consequence, they could not be able to make informed decisions about how to behave, which won't slow down the spread of disease. This might be because they do not know what to do and how to do it. Marginalized people, like all, have a right to clear, accurate, and accessible information about the disease and response efforts. Moreover, communicating in international lingua francas or national languages makes marginalized people more vulnerable. For example, there are 35 countries that uphold English as an official language. Yet, only a minority of people in those countries learn English as a native language. Women, older people, and people with disabilities in particular often have fewer educational opportunities and are less likely to speak or read a second language. Further to this, in old age, people also tend to revert to speak in their mother tongue. This is the main reason why Chinese communities have decided to translate information into local languages. Besides, in the case of Tibetan's community in the mountainous Tibetan regions of western Sichuan province in China, majority of the permanent residents are elders, 50 years and above, whilst younger people spend much of their time in towns and cities for work and study. The elders are illiterate and have limited capacity in spoken Mandarin and Amdo Tibetan. The translations are very valuable for these elders, who are particularly susceptible to the disease. Also, medical personnel from other regions do not speak Wuhan dialect and have to deal with language and communication barriers. Thus, they need to have access to the dialect in a way that is relevant to them. This is an instance of the provision of language services as part of the emergency response. Meanwhile, in Malaysia and Singapore, there are quite a handful of older generations who are not literate in other dialects or other languages like English and Malay. So the need to use your mother tongue dialect is significant in order to get the message across. In addition to this particularly vulnerable population, the translations have several other benefits. People generally had positive appraisal for the videos and audios in their languages, saying that they were easy to understand, created a sense of familiarity, and were useful. They also said that hearing this information in their local languages reinforced the seriousness of the event, even if they already knew the content being shared. Furthermore, people are becoming more aware of linguistic diversity in the region as the videos and audios are created and circulated in different languages. People will be more appreciative of local linguistic diversity due to the proliferation of translation into local languages. The recognition not only means that they are entertained by it, but also knowing that they are no longer a backward or excluded community. Not only that, accessibility for older people depends on the format in which information is presented and design considerations, such as larger fonts and good contrast. This is because it will affect how well it is understood. Many people find tutorial, audio, and video content easier to understand, even for those who cannot read value written text. Thus, the usage of graphic in the video and simple but straightforward words is consequential so that older generations can relate and understand the seriousness of this pandemic. Besides, linguistic competence is just as important for COVID-19, which is providing sufficient context about how a disease works, which will allow people to figure out reasonable precautions in unanticipated circumstances and putting out this information in appropriate community languages. According to Briggs 2019, reaching people in languages they understand and trust, including minority languages, plays a significant role in supporting better outcomes for epidemic crises like COVID-19. If people have information that they understand and trust, they are more likely to make appropriate decisions, like wearing masks and washing hands, and thus be more able to contribute to containing this epidemic. Lastly, Facebook and Twitter are becoming key elements in the survival of a number of endangered indigenous languages. This is according to perspectives. Twitter is now available in over 40 languages and Facebook in about 40 languages as well. For example, a website has been created that seeks to preserve an endangered Native American language from Michigan. The language is threatened with extinction since most of the native speakers are over 670 years old, although the language has 8,000 to 10,000 speakers. Hence, in order to help encourage young people to communicate in their language to keep it alive, modern social media need to be used as an ideal medium. This correlates to the 36 statistical report on internet development in China, where WeChat has become the most widely and frequently used social media in China and has been profoundly integrated into the daily life of many Chinese people. As for the conclusion, in the long run, scientific information that are shared rapidly is an effective way to reduce public panic about COVID-19. Because of this, epidemiologists, clinicians, and modelers will be provided with real-time guidance, which will be helpful in understanding future developments and the possible effectiveness of various interventions. There is also a joint campaign held by the United Nations Development Programme (UNDP) in partnership with the World Health Organization (WHO). It is held on Chinese social media. It aims to mobilize hundreds of thousands of netizens to share crucial information on best health practices during the COVID-19 epidemic in over 50 languages and dialects. The videos and audios in various dialects are generally a useful source of medical information on the COVID-19 pandemic. This is very crucial as the unexpected pandemic has disrupted people's daily lives and there are still vulnerable people who cannot get timely and correct information on the pandemic precautions. Hence, it is pivotal to make the information available in their languages sooner. Increased efforts are needed to disseminate accurate information from reputable sources in order to help mitigate disease spread and decrease unnecessary panic in the general population. The length of the video and audio should also contain enough information and not too short. Finally, the quality of the video should be a main concern so that it will be highly reliable to the viewers. For example, by improving the production quality. Last but not least, it's easy to overlook how important language is for health if you're on the English-speaking internet, where is this headache actually something to worry about? It's only a quick Wikipedia article or WebMD search away. For over half of the world's population, people can't expect to Google their symptoms, nor even necessarily get a pamphlet from their doctor explaining their diagnosis, because it's not available in a language they can understand. We hope that through this research, all of you will be inspired and informed at the same time. In short, the emergence of a social problem like coronavirus epidemic allows us to see the linguistic diversity, multilingual circulation, and the importance of linguistic competence. That's all from us. Thank you.